Join me as I dive into the forgotten battles between American Marines and Japanese samurai, and I'll see if I can uncover the true stories of honor behind these legendary warriors. From the battle-hardened Marines of the United States to the revered samurai of Japan, two warrior cultures that have captivated the world with their bravery, skill, and unyielding commitment to their codes of honor. When we think of these iconic warriors, we often imagine them as two separate entities, each with their own distinct traditions and values. But what happens when these two worlds collide? When the rigid discipline of the Marines meets the Bushido code of the samurai? The conflicts that arise from their differing values are a fascinating and often misunderstood aspect of military history. The question is, how did these two warrior cultures perceive honor and combat, and what were the consequences of their differing values? For the samurai, honor was a sacred concept tied to the idea of dignity, loyalty, and self-discipline. It was a path that required unwavering dedication, a willingness to sacrifice oneself for the greater good, and an unshakable commitment to their lord and their country. In contrast, the Marines embodied a more pragmatic approach to warfare, focused on adapting to any situation, relying on teamwork, and getting the job done by any means necessary. These fundamentally different approaches to combat would lead to some of the most intense and brutal battles in military history. The cultural gulf between the Marines and the samurai was vast, and it would often lead to misunderstandings and mistranslations on the battlefield. The samurai saw the Marines as brutish and undisciplined, lacking the finesse and refinement of the Eastern warrior. Meanwhile, the Marines viewed the samurai as antiquated and rigid, stuck in their outdated ways of fighting. These misconceptions would have devastating consequences, as both sides struggled to comprehend the other's tactics and motivations. As we delve deeper into the battles between these two warrior cultures, one thing becomes clear. The stakes were incredibly high. The Marines and the samurai were not just fighting for territory or resources, they were fighting for their very way of life. The samurai saw the Marines as a threat to their traditional way of life, while the Marines viewed the samurai as an obstacle to their mission to protect American interests. The Battle of Okinawa is a perfect example of this clash of cultures. As the Marines pushed deeper into Japanese territory, they encountered some of the most fanatical samurai warriors the world had ever seen. The fighting was brutal and intense, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. But amidst the chaos and destruction, something remarkable happened, a moment of honor that would be etched in the memories of those who fought on both sides. It was during this battle that a group of Marines stumbled upon a group of wounded samurai, abandoned by their own troops and left to die. Without hesitation, the Marines gave them medical attention, fed them, and even shared their own rations with them. This act of kindness was met with a mixture of gratitude and confusion from the samurai, who couldn't understand why their enemies would show them such mercy. But for the Marines, it was a simple matter of human decency, a gesture of respect and honor that transcended their differences. As the battle raged on, the Marines and the samurai would continue to clash, each side fueled by their own unique sense of honor and duty. But in that one moment, something remarkable happened, a brief shining moment of connection between two warrior cultures that would change the course of history. In the end, it's this moment that encapsulates the true story of honor behind these legendary warriors. It's a reminder that even in the darkest and most brutal of conflicts, there is always a glimmer of humanity that can bring us together. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the forgotten battles between American Marines and Japanese samurai. If you have any thoughts on this topic, please share them in the comments below. And if you want to explore more historical battles and uncover the stories behind them, be sure to check out our next video on the epic clash between the Roman legions and the Mongol horde.